Hey guys, what is going on? Mad Space here, bringing you another video. Going to have some The Last of Us Part 2 gameplay in the background. As a matter of fact, The Last of Us Part 2 is going to be the main topic of discussion of this video. I don't really have an introduction or a script for this video. I'm basically going to be speaking from the heart and expressing my feelings on the topic. And before I kind of get started into the main topic of this video, I do want to say I'm going to be talking about extreme spoilers. So if you've been living under a rock for the past 360 plus days, do not watch this video. On June 19, 2020, The Last of Us Part 2 was released worldwide. Prior to the game's release, there were tons and tons of ratings coming out. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, which just elevated the hype of this game even more. We were already hyped about this game because the first one was so good, and since the ratings were basically through the roof, it just elevated the hype even more. However, within the first few hours, I want to say, people were already proclaiming that the game was bad, which doesn't make any sense if you think about it, because the campaign can take up to 30 hours. So there was a vocal minority out there playing the game for a couple of hours and saying that the game was bad. So in this video, I'm going to tell you why these people think this game is bad and why they are completely wrong. First and foremost, I'm going to give my opinion on the game. I've said in the past that The Last of Us is one of, if not my favorite game of all time. The Last of Us Part 2 is definitely up there for me. I really enjoyed The Last of Us Part 2 so much, and I think it's an amazing game. I think it's a masterpiece, just like how the first one was. But that doesn't mean that The Last of Us Part 2 is without its flaws. Now this is where some of the spoilers are going to come in. I'm going to talk about the parts of the game that I don't like, because I don't want to give you guys the impression that I'm just this person who's just going to blindly say that The Last of Us Part 2 was an amazing game. It was an amazing game, but like I just said, there are flaws. And here is my biggest gripe with The Last of Us Part 2. I didn't like the ending. I think people who dislike the game and people who like the game can agree that the ending probably wasn't satisfactory for the majority of players. Let me explain. Ellie's adventure throughout The Last of Us Part 2 all culminated into this final encounter with Abby. And for some crazy reason, Abby gets to live. Anybody that has played The Last of Us Part 2 knows that the fact that Abby gets to live is absolutely absurd. The whole reason why you go on this adventure in this game is because Abby and her friends killed Joel. And the whole basis of this story is to seek revenge. And I know you guys remember the trailer. It was one of the first trailers we saw. I think it might have been the first trailer we saw, where Ellie says,
I'm gonna find, and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
I am going to find and I am going to kill every last one of them. Well, you didn't, Ellie. You didn't. Abby was basically the person that killed Joel. You killed all of Abby's friends, which was the point, basically. You went out there, and up to the point where you let Abby go, you did what you sought out to do, except for the very end, and that pissed me off. That's my biggest problem with The Last of Us Part 2. There might be some little nitpicks here and there, but for the most part, the game was phenomenal, and I enjoyed it very much. Now let me explain why the game is objectively good. What we all have to understand is that the people that dislike the game are an extremely vocal minority. If you have 100 people play a game and the game is extremely anticipated, it's an extremely anticipated title, just like The Last of Us Part 2. If you have 100 people play, 90 like the game and 10 dislike it. 9 of the 10 people who dislike the game are probably gonna write about it. They're gonna say something. They're gonna post something on Twitter, on Reddit, on YouTube, anywhere. But then you also might only have 9 or 10 people of the 90 who enjoyed it post something on Twitter, post something on YouTube or Reddit. So it appears to the naked eye that there's a 50-50 split, but that's not the case. The people who dislike the game are a very, very vocal minority. And this is proven by the fact that The Last of Us Part 2 won Game of the Year. Several awards throughout the 2020 Game Awards. This is an objectively good game, and it's been proven over and over and over again that it's an objectively good game. Now, whether if it's overrated or not is a completely different discussion. Because if you're saying something is overrated, you acknowledge that, yeah, there's some good parts to it. But don't tell me that it's this great game or anything like that. If you want to have that discussion with me, that's a real discussion that we can have. But don't tell me The Last of Us Part 2 is bad. Were there other games that deserved Game of the Year? Yeah, of course. But at the end of the day, it was The Last of Us. I'll take it a step further. The people who say that the game is bad don't actually mean to say that the game is bad. That's not what they mean to say. What they actually mean to say is that they don't like the game. And why don't they like the game? It's for one reason only. And it's because Joel was killed. And not just that Joel was killed, but Joel was killed super early in the game. This is actually one of my nitpicks. I feel like killing Joel so early took away a lot of potential story that could have been developed throughout the game. Another one of my nitpicks is having us play as Abby for, I don't even know, it seemed like half the game. It was probably a little bit less than that, but it felt like half the game. We don't really care about Abby. I understand why they made us play as Abby. They even kind of tricked some of us into even feeling bad for her a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're all on Ellie's side, right? But I think maybe just not having us play as Abby as long as we had to, and maybe not killing Joel as soon as you did, you might have had some of these people, get off of your back a little bit. So I'll give them that. But the fact that Joel was killed in the game is really the only reason why they don't like it. Doesn't make any sense. If that's the reason you don't like the game, that's okay. You cannot like the game for that reason, but it's not a bad game for that reason. Let me explain it like this. Joel's death created the story behind The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 1 was about survival. The Last of Us Part 2 is about revenge. What these people wanted was another Joel and Ellie adventure, maybe with a little bit of Tommy sprinkled in here. Oh, who are these new characters over there? Oh, you got this guy, Jesse, and you have Dina, and you have all these other characters. But at the end of the day, you just wanted to play as Joel again. Even though for years we knew that Ellie was going to be the main character of The Last of Us Part 2. We knew that. But there were people that wanted Joel to be a part of that, which I understand. But if you got the game that you wanted, you would have just found something else to complain about because you're already complaining about something as small as a character's death. Think about TV shows like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. Characters are dying left and right. It doesn't make them bad shows. Maybe you don't like the show as much because one of your characters died. But I'm not going to sit here and say that a show is going to be bad just because people die in it. Same thing for a video game. Same thing for The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2's story is not bad because Joel's dead. It literally created the immersion for me. Right when I was able to control a character again after watching the scene where Joel died, I wanted to so badly get revenge. I just wanted to get to that moment. I wanted to play the game now. That's the purpose. And Neil Druckmann knew that it was going to be controversial, but it created this story driven by revenge. And to me, it was enjoyable. And objectively, the game is good. You can dislike it because you disagree with the direction that they went. That's fine. Nobody can tell anybody how you feel about something. I can't tell you you have to like the game because there's a perfectly legitimate reason why you don't like it. But at the very least, acknowledge that it's an objectively good game. So that's basically all I have to say on the matter. 1 year later, The Last of Us Part 2 is still the 2020 game of the year. One of the best games ever made, in my opinion. And I don't know what Naughty Dog has in store next. I don't know if they're going to make The Last of Us 3, expand on an IP that is already existing, maybe create a new IP. Who knows? But they never miss. That's all I gotta say. Naughty Dog never misses. But anyway, that's all I got for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Peace.